ElectraCast.
Wondering what the F has happened to your body and your life? You're in the right place, my friend. Welcome to Season 3 of Transforming 45, where we dive into the incredible stories of how brilliant humans are navigating the midlife squeeze with courage, passion, and a healthy dose of humor. Don't miss out on any of our heart-led episodes. Hit the subscribe button, leave a 5-star review, and if you're inspired, share an episode you love with a friend. It means more to me than I can express that you're choosing to spend time here and sharing our message of midlife revolution. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Transforming 45. This week, I am thrilled to welcome Liza to the show. Liza with a Z, different from Lisa with an S, is a radical self-love and embodiment coach. Liza helps deep feelers and extra achievers reconnect with themselves, release self-doubt, and step into confidence that feels real. She does this through a mix of a lot of modalities. Some include somatic healing energy work and intuitive guidance. Liza helps people feel at home in their body, their choices, and their lives. Liza, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
So happy to be here.
Liza, this midlife transition is full of all kinds of events and changes that can really shake our confidence. So I've been really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Who are you and how did life introduce you to this version?
Goodness, who am I? So I spent a big chunk of my life just people pleasing and walking on eggshells in relationships and never putting myself first and being a perfectionist. And I grew up in a not so loving household, and I just took on the role of being the parent. I was the oldest of 4. So I took on the role of being the parent, being the caregiver. My mother, whether she chooses to believe it or not, struggles with mental illness and was not there mentally, emotionally. And so I took on that role and just kind of never made myself a priority and always put myself on the back burner to everything in life. And I've gone through so many different transitions, and I've been 100 pounds and I've been over 300 pounds. I've lost 105 pounds. I've done all these changes, all these things to myself, but I was never happy with who I saw in the mirror, ever. And it wasn't until I realized that I had to do the deep diving of the work, the inner work, of healing the beliefs and the habits and the stories and all the things that I told myself about me, and all the environmental stuff, the societal stuff, everything around me, and just had to be like, no, this is BS. I need to focus on prioritizing myself and heal from the inside out. And I was like, but I got to do the work. That's scary. That's uncomfortable. I don't know if I want to do that. But I knew that if I didn't get into that space, then I was never going to change and things were going to still stay the same. And I mean, this was a long journey. This wasn't an overnight thing. This is not an overnight fix. Like we all want that overnight fix, like valid, like right away. It took years. It took years of healing the emotional trauma. It took years of forgiving myself. It took years of allowing myself permission to feel the feels, to get in the uncomfortable spaces, to prioritize me. And so now I'm to a point where I'm like, I'm my own primary person in a relationship. I'm first and foremost my first primary relationship. Everyone else comes secondary. And it took a long time to get to that space. And so now I teach others how to do the same. It's like, it's not what you look like on the outside. It's like, this is just a suit. This is just a meat suit. This is just what the outer, this is not who we are. This is just the home that we're inhabiting temporarily for right now. And so it's like, we got to do the work. We got to heal. Unfortunately, it's like I would say it's different with each generation, but with because I'm guessing you're a Generation X too. I'm a Generation Xer. Yes.
Card holder. Yep.
Yes. And we're like, we take care of ourselves. Like, we don't need anybody else. We have to take care of ourselves. When in actuality, we actually needed that, and we needed that nurturing, and we needed that support, and we didn't get it. And so now we're all adults and we're like, God, like, I want something different. How do I do this now? And so a lot of us are coming into our own power and our own having these identity shifts now of finding ourselves and finding our true selves and who we put in a box years ago. And so those are the prime people that I love to work with, because I'm like, I've been there, done that. I mean, I walk the talk. Like, people tell me all the time, I literally walk the talk, like every second of every day. And so now I get to help people get through that and find themselves, find their authenticity, find who they put in a box, and really prioritize themselves. And it's most of the people that I work with are women, because I feel we have the most emotional trauma. We have the most stuff that we hold on to.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting, right? And clearly, menopause coach and consultant, I primarily work with women. So I'm primarily like marinated in that experience, and it is my own experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wonder, however, how much trauma the men around us are holding to and are just
Yes.
so disconnected from and are not given permission. Like, not that we're given permission particularly, but I think that we are doing the work of reclaiming that and saying,
Yes.
actually, I don't need your permission. I'm going to do this anyway.
Yes.
And I think there still is some of that. I mean, for all of us, there is shame.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
layers of all kinds of things that generationally we are working through. And I just wonder, like, when we look at what is happening in the world, who the leaders are, the decisions those leaders are making, the things
Mm-hmm.
that they are continuing to perpetuate,
Yes.
what is at the root of that? Because what I am trying to do, particularly with men that I really disagree with, or I have had real emotional wounds from, who
Mm-hmm.
are in my generation, I'm trying to look at them as the little boys they were once.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wonder, like, what happened to that little boy that created this structure that you feel like you need to be this kind of man?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's again, it's the society, it's the people we were raised, our caregivers. And a lot of times with boys in general, they're told to suck it up, be a man, grow a pair, whatever that's supposed to mean. I mean, they're so supposed to push it down, because you got to take care of everything. You got to be the breadwinner. You got to do this, you got to do that. So they're turning them into, essentially, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it, douchebags. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like
oh
they
yeah.
turn them
You can
into
say all
like,
the words there.
I can say all the words. Okay, good, good. Cause I was
All of
like,
them.
oh, I didn't ask you that if I could
Be
swear,
free,
but
my friend.
yes.
Be
Okay. Be
free.
free. Yes. Great. Cause yes, I do like to use choice words, but it does essentially turns them into these non-feeling jerkheads. I mean, it's like, but
Yeah.
whatever. It's like they just, and it's so sad. And now there are men, because I do work with some men, and now there's, I've talked to numerous men, and they're just like, I want to embrace my feelings. I want to show emotions. I want to feel these things. How do I make this happen when I've been so brainwashed and so conditioned to push everything down? Now, whereas women, we're told that, oh, don't be emotional. You might be construed as something else. You got to be this way and this way. You got to dress like this and talk like this and act like this and be like this and say all the right things. So then we learn to push, suppress, numb, depress, all the things, reject. So really, both of us are fucked. Like, it's just like, growing up, it's like, you
Yeah.
damned if you do or damned if you don't. It's like, geez.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm keenly aware of it for a couple of reasons. One, I have two young men, right?
Yes.
My children are 20 and 18. And they are both male. Um, so it is something that I think about in different ways than I did even when they were little, seeing them emerge into the world as men in this strange time
Yes.
of
Yes.
this like hyper masculinity. I am aware of my role as caregiver isn't quite the right word because it's a different relationship that we have
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
But in helping them to stay connected to softness that they
Yes.
had when they were
Yes.
little boys. And I certainly see that in them. And it takes it has taken a lot of intentional work on my part and my partner's part as well to keep that connection
Yes.
going.
Yes.
And, getting back to the Gen X of it all, it's of course synchronicity. This is happening because it's a conversation I was having with someone not that long ago. But as I was growing up, I was surrounded by young men predominantly. Like there were boys on the periphery who I was like,
Mhm.
ooh, don't like that energy. And I just stayed away from them. But the majority of the young men in my sphere were kind, were supportive, were
Mhm. Mhm.
creative, were thoughtful, were interesting, were like I felt so safe with them.
Mhm.
And then I went out into the world. And to this day, even though I shouldn't be, despite the amount of interactions I have had with men who are not that way, I still am shocked because of this like shell of the circle of humans that I had around me.
Yeah.
And what I wonder is, and if I'm wondering from your perspective about the men that you've worked with,
Mhm.
what can we do to support those men in our generation to either reconnect to those pieces of themselves that were there at one point and then be leaders?
Mhm.
Because that's where we're coming to in society, right? This is the thing that I think
Mhm.
about is we are really becoming leaders in society. So how do we support the men in our lives to do that in ways that are different from what they were conditioned to be?
Mhm. Well, there's a couple things. I mean, of course, be supportive, be there for them. Let them know that they are allowed to feel the feelings that they're feeling. And it's okay to grant themselves permission to feel the feels. Yes. And like I've told other people, when we start doing the work on ourselves, it doesn't matter who is in our sphere, and I like that word because I use sphere a lot too. So it doesn't matter who we have around us. When we start doing the work intentionally with ourselves, it sends a ripple effect to everyone else around in our space. So whether it's children, adults, our parents, anybody, like it doesn't matter whether they're 2 or they're size 20 or they're a 2-year-old or 22. They're going to reap the benefits of seeing us do the work first. And so if we have people in our area like your two boys, it's like if they see you doing the work on yourself, they're gonna be like, mom's taking care of herself, making herself a priority. This is nice, I like this. So then that gives them permission to allow themselves to do the same.
Yeah, I really like that, and I completely agree with you. I always talk about it's an actual list of self-leadership,
Yes.
right? That
Yes.
has gifts for everyone around you when you put
Yes.
yourself at the center.
Exactly.
And so it is that getting back to now the impacts of women and what we have experienced in this
Mm-hmm.
generational growing up. And now we get to this midlife intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finished writing a chapter for a collaborative book where I talked about this a lot. In that when we were growing up, there was a lot of narrative and story, and I referred to it as choreography
Mm.
about what it was to be coming of age. I think about everything that formed us, all the narrative that formed us was John Hughes and angst and category
Yeah.
and all the movie montages, such a epic, ballads of struggle to success.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were marinated in.
Yes.
And now we get to this place where, in my context anyway, I feel like the choreography ran out. Like I knew what it was going to look like being a young woman, being a young career person, but now there's no choreography. And all of these narratives that were centered around me and my lived experience. I also want to acknowledge my privilege in that. have run out and they aren't there. And so my confidence is shaken
Mm,
on many levels because I don't know what comes next. I've never seen myself represented in what it is that's coming next because that choreography doesn't really even exist. And I'm also like taken by this experience of now feeling like I'm being moved to the margins even more deeply than I was before.
mm.
And so, how do you guide women into freestyling? Is kind of the way I refer to it, like coming back to their creativity and freestyling their way forward.
Well, so I have a couple points here. So you had mentioned confidence. So confidence is isn't something we're born with. It's something we learn. And it's something, again, we allow ourselves permission to have. It's like I've told people, I'm like, borrow my belief about things, like until you can attach it to yourself, until you can believe it yourself. Borrow my belief that you are the most confident person. Walk into that room like you are the main attraction every single time, and embody somebody who you value or you like, or somebody you want to emulate, like emulate them, until you start to believe that. For the last few years, I have been working on, because I don't believe that we're ever a master of anything. I believe we're constantly growing, changing, evolving. So many layers. Once we've healed one layer, another one pops up and says, hello, here I am. Let's heal this. It's like, oh God. So, but now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, this is an adventure. Like, I'm embracing this. Like, when something comes up or if I'm triggered, then I'm like, I get to heal another layer. I get to heal another level. Yes, this is cool. This is good. Because then this helps me with my clients that are maybe two steps away behind me. So I'm like, I've got this experience, so I can walk with them through that. So I've been mastering the art of being present, just being present in the moment, and learning that. And how I describe it is that, okay, so our past is our past. We can never change it. We can't go back and do something different with it. We can, however, change the energetics of how we feel about it. That we can do by doing the healing and doing the processing, all the things. The future is constantly changing and moving and evolving based on the present moment, the decisions we make in the present moment. So there's no reason to think about, oh my God, the future, I got this, I got that. Now it's different when you're setting goals and setting intentions and doing that. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about ruminating on, oh my God, the future, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. And then the past, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got all these things from the past that they're just traumatizing, and how do I take care of it? All of those, pull it aside. Like, it doesn't matter, because what matters is being present in the moment, because everything happens in the present moment. That's where the magic happens. That's where the healing happens. That's where things start to shift and evolve. That changes our future and changes our past. So teaching people how to just be present. And so, me personally, every day I wake up and I don't even look at my calendar until that day. I mean, unless I know specifically I have something in the morning to do. So I will wake up in the morning, I do my things, I do what I need to do to prioritize myself, to put myself priority number one, first and foremost, to take care of my needs, my wants, being present with me. And then I say, okay, who do I get to show up for? Who do I get to support today? Who do I get to love today? Who do I get to just be there for today? Just today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not yesterday, today. And I tell you, it is the most refreshing, liberating, wonderful experience to be sitting in, is just be present. And again, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's not simple. You have to work at it, and it's possible. So I've gotten to this place where I'm just like, okay, I'm just today. I have to worry about just today. I don't care about anything else. Nothing else, just today. And people, when I work with them through that, and I'm like, just, and I I give them the, all the details. I say, okay, just think about it like this. Then they're like, a light bulb goes off and they're like, yeah, why am I worrying about this? Why am I worrying about that? I just need to be present today because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, it is so true and so powerful. And I think a particularly timely conversation
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know about you. I don't know that I've ever lived in a time that feels so deeply unpredictable.
Yes.
And so perhaps the gift of that is that it helps us to stay present in the moment
Yes.
because it is unpredictable and we legitimately we have all heard this, like we don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow, and the universe right now is showing us that we sure as shit have no idea what is going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, so being
So
present is the perfect.
yeah. So, how are some of the ways you help folks to settle their nervous systems enough that they can drop into their bodies and actually be present? Because for myself, I know that's where my disconnect happens, is when there's the internal running motor. Right. And then my body eventually goes, this is really uncomfortable. You've got that running motor going again because I'm doing all of the like past and future and not being present.
Mm-hmm.
I am developing some tools for how to listen to my body that I'm using as a cue now instead of time to disassociate and get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using it as a cue of, oh, my body's trying to tell me something. I
Yes.
actually need to stick around and
Yes.
stay in here.
Yes.
So, what are some of the strategies you use to help people do that?
Well, one first and foremost, the biggest one is just breathe. Just fucking breathe. Like just take a deep breath. It's like, do it with me. It's like breathe. That's really important. So breath work is really important. Meditating is really important. Journaling. I know it sounds just trite. Sometimes it just sounds like, oh, I don't want to do that. But it really helps to get, because we bunch everything up so tightly wounded in our brains that we need to get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. So like once a week, do a brain dump, just get all the words out, or once a day. However, I mean, it just has to be a couple sentences, just getting it out. Breathing is really important. Meditation, like I said. The thing that I teach people is that, and most of the time we we're so obsessed with the outer exterior of ourselves, especially as women. We're so obsessed with how we present ourselves and how we look. This isn't us. This is just a shell. This isn't who we are. And so teaching specifically women and men too, but specifically women, is that when you start working with me, you don't have to love yourself. No, I don't want you to. I don't, you don't need to. You don't need to like love yourself. What you do need is to appreciate at least something about yourself. Whether it's your eyes, your hair, your smile, something that you appreciate. So it can be anything. So at least start with appreciation, because what happens is appreciation turns to like, and then like turns to love. It's a process. So just appreciate where you are right now in this time and space. Appreciate where your body is right now. And if it changes and shifts, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. You still have an appreciation for yourself. So it goes back to being present. So being present in your body, like where your body is right now in this space and time. Not a couple hours from now, not next week, not tomorrow, not yesterday, whatever. Just where you are right now. Like, is something coming up? Are you being triggered by something? Is there like chaos in your space? Take a deep breath. Just breathe first. And then be like, okay, I'm going to breathe. Okay, now what do I need to now what's going to come in my space? What do I need to take care of right now? Just today, right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that appreciation can be really a really great place to start. I had an artist on my show about this time last year. Her name was Beth Knight, and she does these very realistic, very honest. She started with herself painting her body. And she paid to present one of them in the London Underground. So, and it was a nude of herself that was very honest. And she
Beautiful.
talked about, and she was working through this, like going from self-hatred to appreciating herself and loving her body. And she said, I spent hours just looking at my hand because to be able to paint it, I had to really, really look at it. And she said,
Mm.
when you spend that amount of time looking at something that I am now like representing,
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible to hate it
Right.
because you start to notice all of the incredibleness, all of, the mystic and the magic
Yes.
in
Yes.
this body that we have. And so that's where she started, was just looking, really looking at
Mm-hmm.
one aspect of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
she started with something obviously super safe, like a hand, and then working through the rest of her body to be able to create this appreciation that absolutely turned into love.
Yes, yes, yeah. I use the mirror. So it's like the mirror shows everything. And what do most people do when they go to the mirror every single morning? They nitpick at all the little imperfections, all the little things. All they see is the negative. But it's like if you could just concentrate on one thing, like, oh, I love my eyebrows, or oh, I like my nose, or my lips are really nice. One thing. You don't even have to look at your entire body. Just focus on that one thing and appreciate just that one thing right now. And eventually it stacks and stacks and stacks, like eventually you'll find something else. Oh, well, I do really like my earlobes, or oh, I like my nail beds, I mean, I don't know. It's just like something, just anything
Yeah.
to appreciate and then
And I
just stack from there.
Yeah, and I think that is a really impactful practice, particularly at this time as our bodies are changing. And there might be elements that of your body that you've never seen before or that are different than they have been throughout the rest of your life.
Yes.
And we get into this, like, what's the word I'm looking for? We get into this resistance
Mm-hmm.
with our bodies in the way that they are changing because we are so desperately trying to hold on to
Right.
the value of youth that we
Mm-hmm.
have been indoctrinated with for so
Mm-hmm.
long.
Mm-hmm.
And, I see it in myself. When I get up in the mirror, like you said, the first thing I do is start pulling out the gray hairs that are sticking out.
Right.
And and so I'm looking at what are the things that are changing. And what I am trying to do to make this shift for myself is to appreciate what my body has done for me up until now
Yes.
and the love and care I need to pour into it at this time so it
Yes.
will continue to support me as I continue to live my story going forward.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, taking that practice of noticing and then what is aspect of myself that really needs that love and care right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and our body, I mean, especially as women, I mean, our bodies go through a lot of shifts and a lot of changes. And I don't know about you, but I would never want to go back to my teenage body. I would never want to go back to my pre-adolescent child body. No, I wouldn't even want to go back to my 20s. I love where I'm at. I love being almost fucking 50 years old. And because I'm like, I'm rocking and rolling and I'm having the most amazing time in my entire life. I'm like, I don't want to go back to that future, that previous person. No, and because I'm different, I'm gonna change. And our bodies change, they evolve, they grow, that we have babies, our boobs sag, we start getting gray hair, we start getting wrinkles. Embracing those things because it's gonna happen. We're never going to be like what we were in our 20s because of all the shifting and the hormone changes and all the things. And we go through perimenopause and menopause and all the life changes. That's part of life. That's part of being in these organic bodies. That's part of being in this home that we're in right now, is to be able to experience all those different versions of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be a really powerful way of being called back to our bodies
Yes. Yes.
in ways we haven't. takes me back to something you had said earlier in the conversation about changing the energetics to the past.
Yes.
Because yeah, we might not want to go back there. A lot of this is a time where off for many of us, we have a little bit more space in our lives again to think and to process and to be with ourselves in ways that we just haven't had time for. And so many women starts finding that trauma and experiences from the past start to resurface again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, how do you support people to do that reflection and change the energetics around it? Because, yeah, we can't go back. And like Gabor Mate says, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how do we do that? How do we shift those energetics so that we can hold the space for our experience, but we can experience it differently?
Well, forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves for the routes that we took, the ways that we went, the roads that we traveled on, forgiving ourselves for all the things that we didn't allow ourselves permission for or didn't accept about ourselves or anybody I mean, all the people around us. It all starts with us. It's like, so forgiving ourselves, you know, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So knowing that we're having this human experience. So it's okay to have all this stuff. It's okay to experience these things. Because that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, the earth is a learning school. I mean, like this is the biggest school, and we're learning and we're growing and we're taking adventures every day. Forgiveness is the biggest thing, and we forget about that. And it's not forgetting, it's just saying, hey, I'm going to allow myself permission that, I did feel this way about myself, and no, it wasn't the healthiest, and now I'm going to do something different, and I'm going to forgive myself for all these past things that I either enabled or let happen or that happened to me. And it's like, and it goes back to our parents. I mean, our parents and our parents, they only had those tools at the time that they had to instill in us. I mean, yes, they were instilling generational trauma, but they didn't know that. They only had what they thought was best for us at the time. Then forgiving that as well. It's like, you can only change yourself. You can only shift yourself. You cannot change others, shift other things around you. Yes, the energetics, like I said, the energy around it. Yes, by doing the work, by paying attention to everything around you, by being present in the moment, by forgiving, by just letting go and releasing and just being in the body that you're in right now.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah,
it's a,
that is really powerful. That act of forgiveness. I may have told the story on the show before, but I had a boyfriend at the end of high school going into university. It was many years, like 3 or 4 years over, really formative time, right? That like high school to university transition, those years are so formative. And he is where all of my Me Too stories come from. I had this one experience. We were driving with our friends and we got lost, and he like yelled at me in front of all of my friends to just
mm,
sit there and look pretty. He had told me that the leadership things I had taken on, I never would have done if it wasn't for him, because he was giving me the confidence to do all of these things. Like lots of layers of things like that. And for a long time, I couldn't even go back into that space.
mm,
The energetics of it felt so hot. Hot is the best word I can think of to describe it. That when I would go back into those years, even the like great things that happened in my life during that time, I couldn't go to it
mm,
because the energy of that relationship was so hot. It was, I could almost feel myself, for those who are listening, like bouncing out of it if I ever tried to
yeah.
go back.
Mm,
And I was at a math conference many like decades later and turned around at registration, and he was standing right behind me. And it turned out we were actually doing the same job in different school boards. And so there we were at the space at the same time. The shock wave that I felt when I turned around and looked at him, and I could see the same thing was happening to him because he went like, Hi," and I was like, "Hello," and
Mm-hmm.
we had a little bit of small talk, and then I saw him getting very teary.
Mm,
And he said, I promised myself that if I ever ran into you, I would apologize to you for how I treated you.
mm,
And in that moment, it was so overwhelming. I just went, oh, it was fine. We were kids, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I walked away from it and said, that is not how I wanted to respond to that because that was transformational in my life that time. And so I sought him out later in the day and said, do you mind if we talk? And he was like, yeah, of course. So we went and we sat down and I said, I know this is how I responded in the moment. It's because I was just so like overwhelmed and shocked at what was happening. But I want you to know that I am grateful to you in teaching me what I would never accept in a relationship ever again.
yes.
We talk things out a little bit more. And the heat of that energy that was around that time
Yeah.
dissipated.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
so I
Yes.
can actually go back to that time now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I have forgiven both of us for that time, and I can experience it in ways that I couldn't for a really long time. And so that act of forgiveness of self and sometimes of other folks, and sometimes you don't even get the chance to have that kind of conversation, but knowing that you
Right.
can energetically forgive
Yes.
yourself and someone
Yes.
else, and it absolutely changes the vibration of that experience.
Yes, it does. Yeah. And that's how you change the past. And it's like you actually do change it. And then that actually sends a ripple effect into your future because going forward, this is how we're going to handle things. This is how we're going to handle the situation. Yeah. And then things shift and things change. Yeah. It's
Yes,
amazing.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So in wrapping up our conversation here, we have been all over the place, but always coming back to that idea of confidence and reconnection. So, what are the top two or three things you support women to do to make those shifts at this time?
Well, first of all, be their biggest cheerleader. I mean, it's like I walk the walk, I talk the talk. I walk beside the person, behind them, in front of them, just be there for them and knowing that they have that support and they have that ear to listen to and have know that they're not alone. Like we're not alone in this. Like all of us have shit. All of us are carrying baggage in multiple ways. And knowing that they're not alone and that it's a safe space to share and that I've done the work. And so they know Liza's done the work and oh my gosh, I can do it. Why can't I do it? And so just reminding them that they can do this. Like it's going to be hard, it's going to be rough. I'm going to tell you to put your big people pants on and do the fucking work in a nice, loving, supportive way, of course. But it's like, hey, this stuff doesn't shift overnight. Like you need to do the work, and we're constantly doing the work, and we will continue to do the work until we're dead, until we're not in these shells anymore, until we're not in these meat suits anymore. We'll continue. And it's flipping it. It's like, oh, I get to do the work. I get to do this today. I get to have this experience today. And allowing yourself that permission to do that instead of saying, oh my God, I got to do this today. Like all the things that we normally do. We sit and ruminate it and wallow in it, whatever. But it's like, no, I get to do this today because this is going to propel me in a different direction. This is going to help me prioritize me. Whoever's listening, you're prioritizing you first and foremost. That propels you into shifting things for you. But you, again, allowing that permission. Yes.
Yeah, Absolutely. Thank you. That is very sage advice. And finally, what is bringing you joy right now in this moment?
Oh my gosh, what is bringing me joy right now? So many things bring me joy. I mean, just waking up in the morning and knowing, hey, I have another day here. I have another day in this world. What am I going to do with it? You I walk every day. I love nature. That brings me joy. Animals. In fact, there's one staring at me right now. That's like, hello, pet me, please. Just like all the things like bring me joy and just life, like, and being there and enjoying it. Yes.
Thank you so much for spending
Thank
time with
you.
us today, Liza. I so appreciate your wisdom, and I know the community will as well. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Transforming 45. I hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to embrace every facet of your midlife journey. If you enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. These actions make a world of difference in growing our podcast community. Your support helps us reach much more amazing listeners just like you. And don't forget, please share an episode you love with a friend or with your community. Sharing our stories is what helps our community grow. Keep shining your midlife magic, and I'll catch you next week. ElectraCast.